The Alexa Classic is a truly iconic cinema camera. A camera used on Drive, Arrival, Moonlight can now be found for $5,000, giving filmmakers the same incredible Alexa image quality at a fraction of the price. But in a world of full-frame cinema cameras, its Super 35 sensor can feel a bit left behind, despite the sensor using the same core technology as ARRI's latest large format cameras. So how do we make this camera a little more like ARRI's modern equivalent? Answering that question took a lot longer than you'd expect, because it didn't start with the Alexa at all. It started with Red. We'd already spent a huge amount of time building a focal reducer for the Red DSMC2 camera system. That project was well underway when a supply chain delay with our custom LPF brought it temporarily to a halt. This one component is really holding us up, and without it, the product is basically unusable. It's always been our intention to make an Alexa Classic focal reducer, so rather than wait, we shifted focus to release the Alexa Classic version first. All the work we'd done on the R2 for DSMC2 gave us a real head start on the design and architecture of the focal reducer. Where the Red is flexible by design, the Alexa isn't. DSMC cameras come with interchangeable mounts and built-in support for lots of different lens systems, and you can swap the mount in seconds. The Alexa Classic was really only built around the PL mount. You can change the mount, but it's slow, it's really fiddly, not something you'd want to do on set. So it quickly became clear this couldn't just be about creating a focal reducer. It had to be a full mount system, one that modernized the camera and also solved its lens mount limitations. So we're going to get into all that because we've designed so much more than what you'll actually see in this video. But for now, let's have a look at an early prototype and take a look at some test shots. So as far as we know, this is the first time a full frame focal reducer has ever been used on an Alexa Classic. It's obviously an early development version built purely just to prove the optical concept. So this one's far more limited than the final product will be. But it lets us test the one thing that matters the most, and that's how well the optic actually works on Alexa Classic. The Alexa is known for pairing really well with a wide range of lenses, and a big reason is that it has a very thin optical low-pass filter. This works incredibly well with our reducer. You can see in this studio test, we are shooting wide open at around a T1 equivalent, and the image stays sharp right into the corners. Yeah, sweet. So we shot this scene with a very talented artist called Minnie in her studio. We did one shot using the Sigma at 35mm. With the lens set to T2, we had this mounted straight on the Alexa with no focal reduction. And another shot using our Zeiss 50mm at the same T-stop, but going through our 0.71 times focal reducer prototype, which basically squeezes the lens's full frame image down onto the Super 35 sensor. 50mm times 0.71 works out to almost exactly 35mm, so the framing basically matches. The camera and subject are fixed, and they do not move between shots. Now, at a glance, the difference might look quite subtle, but when you start to properly look at it, the difference is actually quite significant. So the first image has that classic Alexa look with incredible colors straight out camera. This is just using the ARRI Rec 709 LUT. But compared directly with the Reduxa shot, it does feel slightly flatter. The Reduxa image has a greater sense of depth. Minnie's face feels more sculpted and lifelike with a subtle three-dimensional quality that's difficult to put into words, but immediately noticeable side by side. One thing I've also noticed is that the Reduxa is resolving certain lenses much better than they are natively without the Reduxa. Particularly in the center, kind of 60% of the image, it generally looks a lot sharper in comparison to a version without. I think I need to do a bit more testing on this to say definitively, but from my experience using it so far, that's what I'm seeing. So another advantage to shooting in smaller spaces like the one we were filming in was that we could use a longer focal length and still have a wide field of view. Without the Reduxa, we'd have to move further back to use the same focal length, and this would feel more telephoto as the background kind of expands. I don't know why we didn't get a reference frame to show that during the shoot, but we'll try and cover it in another video. So even though both lenses are at the same T-stop, you can see that the background blur does increase on the Reduxa shot, which helps more with separation. You can also see the difference in light in our ISO settings. The Reduxa concentrates all that full frame light onto the smaller sensor, so you gain around one stop of light. Our 50mm at T2 is effectively behaving like a 35mm T1.4. So to match our exposures between the two shots, the 35mm with no focal reduction was rated at ISO 320, whilst the Reduxa shot was rated at ISO 160. It was really exciting to see the two shots side by side. This is the full frame look people move to larger formats for, and seeing this achieved on an Alexa Classic with a Super 35 sensor felt like a real breakthrough in this project. The prototype also features a basic version of our adapter plate. It lets us quickly remove the main lens mount by undoing these 4 screws. This is a core part of our final design, an adapter plate that stays attached to the camera and converts the Alexa's communication electronics into pogo pads. That lets you swap lens systems on the Alexa as easily as you would on any modern cinema camera. Electronic communication. Maybe that's something we'll talk more about in our next video, so subscribe to stay updated. So coming from Red, ARRI is the obvious next step. And like the DSMC cameras, the Alexa Classic sits at a price point that puts it within reach of a much wider range of filmmakers. That really matters to us. If there's one thing Cinelux loves to do, is taking legacy camera systems and making them relevant again. But to be honest, the real reason is much simpler than that. It's an Alexa. That name means a lot, and it's truly earned its reputation. That image has always been regarded as exceptional since its release. The color, the dynamic range, the way the highlights roll off, the Alexa look that people talk about, it started with this camera. This sensor was so good that the same core sensor design has carried through generation after generation, with ARRI still building on it since 2010. Even stitching multiple of the original LF3 sensors together for their larger full frame and 65mm large format cameras that they are still selling today, 16 years later. So these cameras still hold up, they produce an incredible image, and they deserve to stay in use. And if we can help with that, we will. Doing this test shoot, one thing I personally loved was just how sensitive to light the Alexa became. This was all shot at dusk, where normally you're fighting for light. Here it was the opposite. Shooting at T1.5 equivalent, there was so much sensitivity that my actual problem was getting rid of the excess. This shot was rated at ISO 160, which is the lowest the Alexa goes to. The image is basically noiseless, the shadows are full and clean. Honestly, it's a really nice problem to have, because as the light kept dipping, I could just back off our ND to compensate without changing the look of the image. All the anamorphic shots were on a Zeiss 50mm macro planar at f2.8 with a Sarui anamorphic adapter. Optically, it looked excellent, and with the Reduxa, we were effectively shooting at T2. So I'm getting the scope look, the shallow focus, and the character for a fraction of what a fast, full-frame anamorphic lens would normally go for. And this is where it got really interesting. A lot of these interior shots were lit using the car's interior light and a small LED panel outside the car.
It's not on the bright side.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, wow. Okay. We were prepared to use a lot more lighting for this shoot, but found that the ARRI performed really well with the very simple lighting setup. We also rigged a small tube light on very low power to act as the car's brake light. I love these shots in particular. These were all shot in very low light. I pushed up to ISO 1600 and still had plenty of exposure, giving a really stylized but natural feeling image with barely any lighting at all. What you're seeing in this video is an early prototype. The current product is much further along. Behind the scenes, we've been developing the firmware, the electronics, the hardware, and the mechanical design. There's a huge software and electronic side to this, especially around aperture control, optic calibration, and proper integration with the Alexa. All of it designed to modernize the front end of the Alexa Classic, XT, and SXT. You can sign up for the latest updates on our newsletter, which we'll link below. This is the best place to go for the absolute latest news on any of our products and announcements. We're going to release details at some point around how we plan to launch this product, so keep an eye out for that and see you in the next video.